So, let's talk about watercolor painting. You probably think of it as just a beautiful, creative hobby, right? And it is. But for some people, it's way more than that. It can be a really powerful tool for healing. But, and this is a big but, this amazing pastime comes with a critical warning that you absolutely need to hear. So let's dive.
All right, so this is really the big question we're tackling today. Can a simple hobby, like painting, actually help you heal and at the same time help your disability claim? The answer is surprisingly yes. But, and you knew there was a but, it's like walking through a hidden minefield. Don't worry though, we're gonna navigate it together. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the healing part. If you're someone dealing with a chronic condition, art can become so much more than just, making a pretty picture. It can be a genuine, legit form of therapy.
The key idea here is to start thinking of art as the technical term is a non-pharmaceutical intervention. Basically, it's like medicine, but without the pill bottle. And for things like chronic pain, depression, or PTSD, the actual creative process itself can provide a huge, tangible benefit. It's pretty amazing. So what's the magic behind this? It's something called a flow state. You know that feeling, right? When you get so completely absorbed in what you're doing, maybe you're mixing colors or just watching the paint spread across the wet paper, that everything else just fades away? Your brain's focus on that task can literally dampen pain signals. Plus, it gives you this powerful way to process emotions when you just can't find the words.
Okay, so you might be wondering, why watercolor specifically? I mean, why not oils or acrylics? Well, it turns out the medium itself is pretty much perfectly suited for anyone who has health limitations. Yeah, the advantages really pop when you put them side by side. Watercolors, super lightweight materials. There are no toxic solvents, which is a huge deal if you have any respiratory sensitivities. And cleanup? It's just water. Now, think about oils. You've got heavy canvases, chemical thinners, a whole messy process. It's pretty clear why watercolor is the hands-down winner when it comes to accessibility.
And get this, the barrier to entry is incredibly low. I mean, we're talking about a startup cost of just, what, 40 to 70 bucks for quality supplies that are gonna last you a good long while? So this isn't some expensive, exclusive hobby. It's really accessible to just about anyone. So here's the rundown of exactly what you'd need to get started. A good student-grade paint set, something like Winsor & Newton Cotman, not a cheap kid's set. Now, the most critical part, and I mean this, is heavy paper. You want 140 pounds or more, otherwise it's just gonna warp and get all wrinkly. And hey, did you notice that adaptive grip on the list? Hang on to that thought, because we're gonna get to why that's so important in just a minute. Top it all off with tons of free lessons from amazing YouTube artists, and you are good to go. All right, so let's talk about limitations. What if you have something like arthritis or neuropathy or another condition that really affects your hands? This is where the hobby actually transforms from just therapy into something way, way more. And this right here is the absolute crucial point. If you need to use special tools just to hold a paintbrush, the very act of using them becomes powerful, powerful documentation for a disability claim. Think about it. It's visible, undeniable evidence of a physical limitation. And here's why that matters so much. An inability to do what's called fine manipulation, things like pinching or gripping, can rule you out for a lot of sedentary jobs, the exact kind of jobs an adjudicator might think you can still do. So by using a special grip to paint, you are actively demonstrating that limitation in a real-world, practical way. So what kind of tools are we talking about? Well, it can be really simple stuff, like some foam tubing to make a handle thicker and easier to hold, or a universal cuff that literally straps the brush to your hand so you can paint using your arm instead of your fingers. There are even these things called water brushes that are perfect if you're painting in bed. Every single one of these tools makes the hobby possible while also documenting your need for that assistance. Okay, so you've been painting for a while. You're finding that it's really helping you heal and, hey, you're getting pretty good at it. This is where we need to stop and get really serious. Because this, my friends, is the minefield.
I mean, it's the natural next step, isn't it? It's so tempting. Your friends and family see your work and they're all like, wow, you should totally sell this. But for someone on a disability claim, opening that Etsy shop could be an absolute disaster.
And here's the stark reality of it. The Social Security Administration, they are actively monitoring online marketplaces like Etsy. The second you list something for sale, you create a digital footprint. And trust me, they are looking. This brings us to a really important concept, the adjudicative consequence. And here's the kicker.
It has nothing to do with whether you actually make a single dime. It's the act of trying to sell your art, taking the photos, writing the descriptions, managing the online listing, that demonstrates a whole set of transferable job skills. And that right there gets to the absolute heart of how the SSA sees it. To them, running an online shop, no matter how small, suggests you have the physical energy and the cognitive capacity to run a small business. And that can be interpreted as an ability to work, which directly contradicts your claim, even if you never ever sell a single painting. It's a huge risk.
So, the big question is, how do you enjoy this amazing, healing hobby without putting your benefits at risk? Well, it's simple. You have to follow a very simple but very strict protocol.
All right, these are the rules. Listen up. Number 1, keep it strictly a hobby. Period. End of story. Number 2, never, ever, ever exchange your art for money or trade it for goods. Number 3, gifting your art to family and friends? Totally fine. Go for it. And number 4, and this is a big one, be really, really careful about posting your finished products on public social media. You want to avoid any language that even sniffs of advertising. The goal here is to create, not to market. And that kind of brings us to a final and I think pretty powerful idea. We live in a world that's obsessed with the side hustle. But what if we reframed the whole purpose of a hobby? What if the goal isn't making a product, but remaking yourself? What if the process itself is the point? It's something to think about, right? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.